because I was like, oh, I wonder. I was like, they said it. It was great. I
Me
was very
too.
excited.
Same thing. Well, what do you think of it coming back to it?
I always like overlook this one in my head because the one after is so popular. Um, I wouldn't say I enjoyed it because I found the assault scenes really, really hard to watch. And the second rewatch, I actually skipped it because I'm like, I can't watch this again. It's too
Hmm.
much. It's too horrible. But yeah, it was great to kind of be in this run up to what we see next. And I think it's a really nicely done episode. I think it's actually a
Hmm.
really important episode for Rick.
Hmm. Me
The
too.
Michonne, Rick, Carl family unit and like the addition of Daryl is just a really lovely kind of focal point.
Brother-in-law.
Yeah, it's so nice. So despite the really horrible scenes, I did get excited about this episode.
Yeah, until when we were getting ready for Daryl season one, and we did an episode about our favorite Daryl things or something. I
Mhm.
was going back looking at moments with Daryl, and I wanted to find the moment where Rick and Daryl are leaning up against that car because that's one of my favorite scenes of the whole series.
Mhm.
And it was only then that I realized, oh my God, the Claimers thing where Rick bites out Joe's throat is the same episode as
Yeah.
Gareth and the train car. And
Mhm.
I had not remembered that. And I don't know if I put it together back then or at any time until now, but I really think the reason they did that is because there's been all this build up to what's going to happen at Terminus. Will it be good? Will it not? And so I think they one reason why is they stuck this in here just to say, oh, here's because this could have been the main set piece for any episode by
Oh
itself.
yeah.
They stuck it in here like, okay, that's the bad guy thing in this
Mhm.
episode. So maybe Terminus is going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
And then nope, Terminus is bad
No.
too.
And it shows you the different ways evil
The
can
prize.
look. I
Yeah.
actually think up until Negan, and even honestly, even including Negan, I think this might be one of the darkest episodes the show does. Like the Negan episode is horrible,
Yeah.
but the brutality of the Claimers, particularly the stuff with Carl, is
Oh
so
yeah. It's
upsetting.
so disturbing.
And
It
that is
really
not me
is.
saying Negan's okay because he doesn't assault children.
No, but like Rick, it's all about Rick biting this guy's throat out. It's
Mhm.
really showing Rick will do anything, literally anything to protect Carl. And I think that also sets up this moment at the end. They're fucking with the wrong people. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, he just bit a guy's throat out. They really are
Yeah.
fucking with the wrong people.
I had this like revelation today. I don't think it is a revelation. I think everyone listening to the pod is probably like, yeah, no doy. Terminus isn't what breaks Rick. It's this episode. It's the Claimers. Like the thing that flips him into this kind of very quite a dark place for quite a long time. I think for ages I was like, oh well, it's Terminus. Like it's what
Hmm.
happens there. It's seeing the people be cannibals, and I'm like, actually no, it's what happens before. It's the Claimers. It's that moment of peace with him and Michonne and Carl, and then this like, I think what scares me the most about the Claimers is that gangs like that exist. Do you know what I mean? People like that
Yeah.
exist. The violence that they threaten to perpetrate and that they do perpetrate is
Yeah.
not out with the realms of things that actually do happen. Like, and
No.
I think,
You hear about in war, there's all this rape going on, and like,
oh,
I
it's
can't
awful,
imagine, like, why? How could
awful.
anyone ever get to that point? But it
Just a
happens.
tool of violence and oppression.
Yeah.
And I think to see it like this, particularly when a child is involved, is so deeply, deeply disturbing. And then by the time we get to Negan, I think in a couple of seasons later, because I was thinking about that in terms of in the comics, Negan and his group are in ambush. They're not they aren't kind of fed and ferried into like this
No.
clearing with Negan. It's an ambush like this. And I was thinking about that and I was thinking about, oh, in the comics it's maybe a bit more the introduction of Negan plays more like this. It plays more as like completely bolt out of the blue. This has happened. Your world is forever changed. In the show, they build up to it more. It's more theatrical because it's TV. You want TV to be interesting. It would be really weird if all TV was like real life. But yeah, I was thinking about that in this and how this is maybe one of the last not as heightened evils that we see. I think from Terminus onwards, it's all quite high key. It's quite high octane because the show is like, if the show is like a D&D campaign or a superhero movie, everyone's leveling up all the time. Like
Yeah.
it's everything's always intensifying, and that's great because that's why we love the show. But
Yeah.
this, I think, is
Everything does that.
Yeah,
they bring in, or you have to. What am I looking for? Just top what you did before, I guess. It keeps getting
exactly.
bigger and bigger.
But this really stuck with me, and the first time when I rewatched it yesterday, I was like, "Oh my God, this is worse than I remembered." Like I remembered it was bad, but this is really, really horrible to watch.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
it.
I mean, you probably have this in your trivia, but apparently it was going to be even more graphic with Carl. I don't know
Oh,
how. It just
really?
said
Oh,
it was going to be more graphic and to really make it clear why Rick was inspired to do what he did.
yeah.
But I didn't need that. I
I
I,
didn't
I
need
mean,
more. I was
they
like,
yeah, like they if I think that's why they had that whole thing with that creepy fucking dude giggling to himself as he's trying to fiddle with Carl,
oh,
just
awful.
to really make you feel why Rick would be so enraged. And what they
Yeah.
showed was more than enough for me. I
Oh, it was
didn't blame him
awful.
at
I
all
was like,
for doing what he did.
just awful. And the way they
Yeah.
talk about Michonne and Daryl, I'd forgotten that Daryl like sacrifices himself, basically. I was like,
He
oh
offers
God.
to. Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Yeah, so it was dark. Like that was dark. And I was like, and holy shit, we're about to arrive at Terminus.
I know. I mean, you
uh,
talking about Rick, this is where he goes darker, and I think you're right, but I had a take on this episode that doesn't totally align with that, and I'm going to say it as I say my points, but we'll see if it
yeah, let's
bears
go
out or
for it.
not. But I did want to just mention, I loved the episode. I thought it was intense and thrilling, and the structure of it, and it was, of course, very disturbing, but also had a beautiful and touching moment there with Rick
Yeah.
and Daryl that really makes it for me. And I love the end sequence. So it's one of my favorite episodes.
Hmm.
It might be my favorite. It's pretty close, if not. But I also think that this episode is about how the people who've managed to survive this long in the apocalypse have had to develop this killer instinct that
Hmm.
Carol keeps talking about you need, and
Hmm.
how they all deal with that and manage it and how it impacts their sense of themselves. And some handle it better than others. Carl's worried about whether he's going to be a monster,
Hmm.
and some do become monsters like the claimers. But I think it's about uh, trying to integrate that very much needed killer instinct in a healthy way so that it doesn't
Hmm.
overwhelm other things in your
Yeah.
personality. I think that comes up again and again in this episode. So I just wanted to say it up front.
Which is kind of what Michonne gets at when she's talking to Carl and kind of
Hmm.
mediating between him and Rick and like how she pulled herself back from that and how it's
Exactly.
possible to do monstrous things and survive and
Yeah, and
still
still
have
be a
that.
loving mother. You don't have to be
Yeah.
afraid of me
Yeah.
unless you come at me.
I do feel like I hope Renee is listening to this episode because one of the things I said when I finished my second rewatch was I was like, I am even more angry that they kept Rick and Michonne apart for another fucking season.
Yeah.
I was like, this episode is just like they're such a perfect unit. Two
Oh yeah.
seasons, two fucking seasons. So yeah, I
They
was
very
livid
much
about
are.
that.
It was so funny. You haven't heard it yet, but Wendy and I recorded last night, and uh, Renee left this great message saying how there's a lot of hate for Rick and Michonne online, which we never see because listeners of our podcasts are pretty much on board as far as I
No,
know.
they're lovely.
But
Yeah.
anyway, she's like, yeah, they're saying that they rushed into it. Look at this. Glenn
No.
and Maggie, they had sex the first day they met, and then they were in love the next day.
Yeah.
And look at this
It's
is
true.
all a big, long, slow burn with Rick. And I see that now
Yeah,
totally
me
with Rick and
too. So
Michonne,
much more. And that's
Yeah.
coming as someone who was like, always like, oh yeah, they should do it. But this, I was like, oh my God, they're just that
Yeah.
scene where he's like, are you okay? And she doesn't ask him and he offers, I'm okay. And she's like, I know.
I know.
Like, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I was
Yeah,
like, this is
they're
perfect.
really in sync with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's funny because this episode is written by Angela Kang and Scott Gimple together. And I'm like, is this like the secret sauce to a perfect Walking Dead? Is like the two working together?
Could
I don't
be.
know.
I mean, it's yet another gem from Scott Gimple, but yes, Angela Kang, I'm sure, added a lot. There's some definite gimpliness in there that I think is peak good Gimple.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We've not
I
reached the
mean,
turn yet.
yeah.
We've not
And
reached the
they
turn.
clearly, yeah, not yet. They clearly worked well together because I'm sure that, he put her up as showrunner. He would have had to have
Definitely.
recommended her for it when he
She
left.
has a very deft understanding of the characters and their relationships, and I
Yeah.
think Scott Gimple has a really deft understanding of the world and the iconography of the world of The Walking Dead and the kind of what makes it grittier and more bloody and more gruesome, but still have the
Hmm.
heart. Whereas I think with Angela Kang, her signature to me is good character beats.
It
And Scott
is
Gimple's signature tends to be amazing, pulling out those character beats into amazing action pieces.
drama. Yeah, but I mean, he
Mm.
wrote The Grove, right? And that was that had
Did he
these.
write The Grove? I'm sure you're right. I didn't. I don't remember. I
Oh,
don't
didn't we
remember.
mention that last time? Let me
No,
look
we
it
talked
up.
about the director a lot. Hang on.
You did, but
Walking
I was
Dead.
saying Gimple has something
Yeah.
to do with that too. Why it
It
was being,
was. You're completely right.
yeah. And
Yeah.
he wrote the next one too, season 5, episode 1, which I think is my favorite. I'm gonna have to
It's the best
reevaluate when
episode
I
of The
watch
Walking
it
Dead,
again.
nay TV ever, and that's
So,
all I'm going to say about it.
okay, let's get into our points. You want to go first?
Sorry, I'm still a bit sick. Hang
Mhm. Bunch of sick
on.
people around here too.
Grim. If Carol was here, I'd be toast. I'm like, I would not have made it this far. Um, God, you'd be so nervous coughing around her after that, wouldn't you? Like, you'd be like, "Oh no, it's fine. It's
Yeah,
just
somebody, I forget, somebody was upset at me online, like, oh, you must really hate Carol. And I was like, imagine you had COVID, or your friend had COVID, and then someone killed them so they wouldn't spread it around.
yeah, no, I would be like, oh, Carol, it's great you're back. No one tell her you're sick. Like, no one tell her.
You're like,
Like,
nothing, just something in
like
the throat.
Carl's looking a bit peaky. It's like he's fine. It's like okay, cool. I wanted to talk about the framing device of the trap. So we see that it works as a framing device in a couple of ways. Um, Rick takes Carl and Michonne to check snares that they have set to catch game, or wildlife, and they've caught a small rabbit. I've written this trap metaphor is kind of on the nose, but I really like it because it can't be that on the nose because I only noticed it this time when I was watching it. But we see Rick very calmly explain to Carl that the ground is a funnel shape. It leads to the noose. Any animal going by it has to run this way into the trap. And
Right.
obviously now in retrospect, we're like, this
He's
is exactly what's
Rick.
happening in Terminus.
Yeah, Rick said often cannibals use these same tactics, Carl. So
Yeah.
be careful.
Often very cannibals that look like they could work at American Apparel will use this tactic. So be on your watch.
But I think it was interesting, the whole funnel concept, because yes, you see the termites herding them to the train car at the end, and it's the
Mhm.
same thing. But it's also what's been going on this whole season with the train tracks and these
Yeah, the
signs.
tracks are the funnel. They're
Yeah.
leading you to that place. I liked it as well because it ties in with the flashbacks to the prison, which were a lovely addition that I'd forgotten about, and a really nice way to bookend the season as a whole, I think. Um, which is Rick trying to teach Carl to be better and to live a good life. And what is it Herschel says to him? He says something like, "You need to show your boy," or something like that, or like,
Yeah. What are you
you.
gonna model for your son, basically?
That's the
Hmm.
one. What are you gonna? Hang on, I'm just gonna try to
I
find the
forgot
exact
exactly what
line.
he said.
Uh, wants to teach Carl. What way are you going to show him?
Hmm.
Yeah, and what Rick's trying to do
And that
here is
was right. Was that right before or after they cut right to Rick biting Joe's throat out, I think? Or maybe that was right
I
after that.
think
Or it's him
so. Yeah, they
stabbing
do.
him or something, stabbing the
Yep.
pedo guy, something like
Oh no,
that.
it's right after, and it's Rick. It cuts to Rick by the car, like with his bloody hand.
Hmm.
It's after we see like creepy Carl staring into the camera, like, "Do it, Dad."
Yeah, as you hear the sounds of Rick's knife going into that guy
Yes,
who's
Rick
well
guts
dead,
pedophile.
but he's just.
Yes, it's and Carl's watching it, kind of scared, kind of loving it. Like it's that amazing mix
Yeah,
of the two.
I think you're right.
So
Yeah.
I think yeah, I enjoyed the framing device of the trap, and I think what you said was really interesting as well about the idea that we get kind of blindsided by the claimers because we're like, oh, that's the dread, that's the bad thing that was going to happen,
Hmm.
and then actually, as we now know, it's really bad. And the other thing is the episode opens with Rick on his own, so we don't actually know everyone's safe. The first time you see this episode, you're like, as far as you know, Rick could be on his own, having lost everything, but we don't know that yet. So there is a sense of dread that permeates the episode of like, what is going to happen here? And as they make their way to the traps, Carl is anxious about meeting new people and asking his dad, are we going to tell them what we did?
Hmm.
And Rick says, we're going to tell them who we are. And a very wise professor once said to me that we can learn a lot about ourselves by looking at our actions rather than our words and thoughts. And I was like, oh, Rick does show people who they are this episode. He shows them that they're people you don't fuck with because
Hmm.
he will bite your throat out. Um, yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought the framing device of the trap.
Yeah, so yeah, he does end up, he's going to tell them who they are, but not in the way he was thinking.
Yeah, exactly. He shows them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hmm.
so I like the framing device. Felt bad for the little rabbit, but at least they got dinner.
It's interesting. I wonder if there was supposed to be a parallel because you had said you think the claimers really shape Rick, and I think you're
Mm.
probably right about that. And that's sort of what happened with the termites we find out next episode. They used to
Yeah,
be nice. It used to be a legit, like, come and live with us and everything will be great
yeah,
until bad people came and really, I think they raped them and
yeah. They
killed them. And
properly. Yeah.
yeah, and all those people in the candle room died. And so that changed them, but it
Mhm.
changed them into monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of leads into my first point, which is integrating defensive and productive instincts, or I should
Mm.
say aggressive and productive. Because I think this episode, like I said, is about figuring out how to keep that killer instinct that's necessary for survival without losing your humanity and
Mhm.
becoming a monster. And you have to be able to defend yourself when it's needed, but you also have to be ready to call forth compassion, to be there for your loved ones, whatever else is in the spectrum of being a person, not just because I think that's where Carol goes a little bit wrong sometimes, being
Mhm.
myopically focused on kill, kill, kill.
Yeah.
I know some people don't agree with that, but that's what I think. So in the opening, when we saw Herschel, I thought, oh shit, I pull up the wrong episode. Did you have that thought at all?
Yay! It's like he's coming from heaven as well. 'Cause he's bathed in
I
light. I'm
really
like,
did. I'm like,
oh.
oh crap, well, I'm watching the wrong one, and because it was at the prison and everything, and but we're seeing the process of how Rick decided to give up violence and focus on farming because there was
Mhm.
that skip in between season 3 and 4,
Mhm.
um, and it was of course Herschel who influenced him to do that. We find
Yeah.
out, and he's hesitant at first, but I think seeing Carl choose cleaning a gun over playing with Legos
That was
tipped him
such a
over.
funny moment. Like
Like,
you walk in
okay.
and your kid is like, "Oh shit!" Right? Yep,
Yeah.
my kid's the
The
problem.
16-year-old's playing Legos and my 10-year-old's cleaning the gun.
Oh, R.I.P. Patrick, man, I love that kid. It was so
Yeah.
nice that he got to come back. I was like, look at him with
I
his little
know. It
Legos.
was
He's like, I'm not
interesting
ashamed.
to see Patrick, Herschel, and Beth because
Hmm.
I had in my head Beth wasn't in any episode until Slaptown, but no, she's in this one. It just doesn't feel
Hmm.
like it because it's a flashback.
She's also the only person, apart from Carl and Judith, to also wear the sheriff's hat.
Right. And that was such
An
a
IMDb
lovely little
fact today.
moment. How do I
Yeah,
look? That was
yeah, it's
great.
so cute.
So I think Herschel recognizes that sometimes you need to be violent, but like I said, it's about integrating that so you don't give up the rest of what's needed in life and you
Hmm.
need to be able to call forth what's needed in the moment. So Rick says, kind of arguing against Herschel, things changing in here doesn't change things out there. And
Hmm.
Herschel says, no, it doesn't, but we're here today, right now. And Herschel repeats that theme about what's called for in this moment. When he says, I never know what time it is. Ever since I gave Glenn my watch, it's always right now to me. I love that
I
line.
love
And
that.
it just
It's so
seems like a
good.
throwaway, but I think it plays into him just being like, what do I need? What do we need right now? You know, the war's over, Rick. So implied in that is that sometimes violence is called for, but so I really like this idea of like, because I'm always talking and preaching like an preference for peace, but
Mm.
I do understand that sometimes you have to fight, but you just need to also keep your capacity for compassion and have this full
Mm.
toolbox so that you don't go straight to I'm a hammer and everything's a nail all the time. You know,
Hmm.
sometimes you need a hammer, but sometimes you need a glove or whatever, a kid glove. So, anyway, and I think Carol, if she had had more of this integrated in a healthier way, then maybe she would have recognized, okay, Lizzie doesn't need a knife right now. She needs something else, you know?
It's hard though, because with Carol, she's been formed in such a
It's hard. It's very
yeah.
hard.
It's
Yeah.
hard because
She's formed in trauma.
yeah. That's the thing is Carol's coming at it from having been a victim of all sorts of violence, and then
Absolutely.
yeah, I know what you mean.
We
It's
all have
difficult.
that. Like we all have blind spots because we've had, if not trauma, just something that really fucked with us. And so it's
Mhm.
hard to be healthy around those things, to
Yeah.
fully just be relaxed and see everything that needs to be seen, if you know what
Hmm.
I'm saying. But I
Hmm.
think Rick, this is where I'm questioning, okay, is this where Rick just descends into darkness? Because in this episode, he seemed at peace with the violence. Like when he's sitting
Hmm.
with Daryl by the car, he's shaking, but also when Daryl says, "What you did last night, anybody would have done that," he goes, "No, not that." And then Daryl's like, well, something happened. That ain't you. Daryl, you saw what I did to Tyrese. It ain't all of it, but that's me. That's why I'm here now. That's why Carl is. I want to keep him safe. That's all that matters. So the way Andrew Lincoln's playing with it, he sounds really at peace with it, like he's owning
Yeah.
this killer instinct. And, kind of, I think I have a point about Carl, so I won't get too much into it, but Michonne's saying the same thing to Carl. Like, we have the capacity for that, but that doesn't mean that's all of who we are.
Yeah, that's not the end of it.
And then there's some juxtapositions where I think to show that there's a time for peace and fun and growth and laughter and a time to fight. And I thought they were almost funny. Like Rick repeats to Carl this thing of Herschel, or telling Carl, I want to show you something, and then you won't need that about your gun. And then you cut to the standoff at Terminus where Carl has his gun
Yeah, and
pointing.
it's
It's
like,
like sometimes you need your
shit.
gun, but to me, like I think some might interpret that as, oh fuck, throw that out the window. Rick was totally wrong, but I don't see it that way. I see it as sometimes you need one, sometimes you need the other. And then there was another juxtaposition. They get herded into the train car, and then there's a flashback to the prison where they put the sheriff's hat on Beth, and it's really cute. And Herschel says, it can be like this all the time. And Rick's like, it's like this now. That's enough. So he's almost saying the same thing. Like, this is now. It won't always be like this, but it is now. So let's appreciate it now, Then it goes back to Rick in the train car, and they're going to feel pretty stupid when they find out they're fucking with the wrong people, says the
Yeah.
guy who bit a guy's throat out.
So your reading is more positive, which I
Yeah, it
kind of like.
is.
It's
Yeah.
more like this is integrated well.
But we know Rick doesn't, I mean, he gets darker and in a way that I don't think is integrated. So maybe I'm wrong, or maybe
Mm.
he changes after this, you know?
We really need a therapist. Like, we really need someone to talk to us
Yeah.
about this. But yeah, I think for me, I think I was kind of thinking about the things that shape Rick, and I think for me, I was like, I always forget about this. Like I mention it so glibly so often, but the actual process, it's not just the biting of the throat. It's like the threatening of Michonne, the kid. Like that's the three people he cares most about in the world, because he thinks Judith is dead at this point,
Hmm.
are all under threat, and that's what it takes to push him to that point. And I'm like,
I think
okay,
even if it was just Carl, though, it probably would
oh
have
god,
done it,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
god, yeah. Bye, Michonne. Bye, Daryl. Have fun. Like, yeah, it's a brutal scene, but he, gets him out of it.
Him saying keeping Carl alive, that's all that matters, just stings so bad. It's like,
Oh,
writers did the wrong thing kicking him out, or whatever the AMC execs.
Gimple, you even wrote the line, Gimple. Like, Jesus. Like,
I don't think it was
oh.
Gimple's decision. I really don't.
No, it was a full, yeah, it was a
Mm,
full like situational thing that shouldn't have happened, but it did,
yeah.
and yeah, it's dumb. And I think having Rick mention Tyrese is interesting because to us that's ages ago, whereas in
Mm-hmm.
the thing of the show it's about a week ago. Like
Mm.
it's actually not that long ago. So
I don't
yeah, I
even
thought it was
remember what
good to
happened.
bring
They
that
got
up.
in a fight and he beat him up pretty good, right?
It was when he was upset about Karen.
Mm-hmm. And he said dolphins are smooth or something like
Yeah,
that. That's what I remember.
Anthony. I love the way that they all try and protect Carl a little bit though, because like when Daryl brings over the water, and Rick says you should save it to drink, and Daryl says you can't see yourself, he can, and I'm like, oh, that's really nice that he's still looking out for
Mm-hmm.
Carl and his experience of the world. It's cute.
All right, what else?
Um, I kind of want to be a bit chronological and leave Terminus to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way that Chosen Family steps up as well as Rick in this, like, so Rick definitely, it's the Papa Bear instinct at the most fundamental level of like protecting his son, but also Daryl stepping forward and saying, "Take it from me, take the blood from me." Partly that's probably Daryl punishing himself for being with these people when he realizes the full aspect of what they're doing. But I think truly, even if the claimers weren't as bad as they turn out to be, Daryl would offer that. Um, and I also think there's a lot of really nice Michonne and Carl in this episode, like when they're in the car and she's stroking his hair while he sleeps, and the two of them are just listening to what Rick has to say. And then Michonne
Hmm.
tells Carl about Andre. And for a while, I was like, why are you telling him this really traumatic story? But then it comes together because she says, you don't have to be afraid of me or of him, meaning Rick.
Yeah.
She tells him the things that she's done. And yeah, exactly what you're saying, that the two can coexist and be integrated.
Because I think she's reading it that Carl is freaked out by what Rick did, which
Yeah,
maybe there is some truth in that. But then what he says next is he's like, "Yeah, I tried it his way, doing the farming, but he doesn't know me. I have thoughts still, and I'm a monster. So maybe he's also just afraid. Seeing what Rick did is like, is that what I am too? And there's
yeah,
all
is that what I'm
swimming
going to
around like,
become?
but he's not doing this integration that I'm talking about, and he's young,
No,
right? But he
yeah,
needs to figure out how to be okay with the necessity for this kind of thing and then be able to still be
yeah,
chill sometimes or whatever.
absolutely. Um, and we find out the full backstory of Andre, which is Michonne's boyfriend and their friend were high when the camp was overrun and Andre died, and that's what happened. And it's bleak and horrible. And
Yeah. And another interesting thing about that is I always thought she, carried those zombies around or led them around because it was a way to keep safe. But she
mhm,
says she didn't even find that out. That was like a bonus. She
yeah,
did it because she wanted to remind herself of what happened or what, I don't even understand it really, but it was a side effect.
absolutely. And I love that she and Carl both hear what Rick says. I thought that was a really iconic thing. And I mean, it goes without saying that scene between Rick and Daryl is iconic. The one the one nitpick I have with it is nothing to do with their lovely relationship. I did say to Peter, I was like, the one thing that where I'm like, this is clearly a TV show, not real life, is when Daryl mentions Beth. And Rick's like, is she dead? And he's like, nah, just gone. And
Yeah.
that's the end of it. I
It's
would be
like,
like, what do you mean
what do you
gone?
mean
Where's she
gone?
gone?
Like,
Yeah, where
yeah,
did she
like
go? Like, who got
she's
her? Where
not
were
dead.
you?
So what the
Was it
fuck, dude?
nearby?
Yeah.
But they're
Rick's
like
just
having
like,
this like
oh,
they're just like, oh yeah, sucks. I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
if this was real life, I'd be like, sorry, can we
It's
dial
like you
back to
come
that? So
home
she's
and
not dead.
tell your partner, oh, I lost my job. Oh, what happened? Oh, it's gone.
Oh, all
Okay.
right. You're my brother. Peter did make a White Lotus joke when they were sitting next to each other. You can cut this. Where they were, obviously you can't see their hands, and I was like, he says, "You're my brother," and I'm like, "Oh, do you think they're holding hands?" Peter's like, "Could be a White Lotus. We can't see what's going on off camera," and I was like, "Oh, you ruined
That's
it! You ruined the
hilarious.
best scene."
No, I'm not
But
cutting
yeah,
that. That's too funny.
oh my god. But it's beautiful. It's not overdone. It gives Daryl his worth back because he's traumatized, I think, by how awful the claimers were. He's like, I thought they had a simple code. It was stupid, but they had a code. I didn't know what they could do. I didn't know who they were. And yeah, it's just a lovely kind of healing moment between the two of them. And
Yeah,
the chosen family vibes are so strong. And I love it for this episode. I just
I
love it.
know. The music came in at just the right time. And when he said, you're my brother, I feel things then, and I feel a lot of
Yeah.
love for both of those guys right then.
I hope they're still, the weird thought I had is, like, I hope they're still friends. Like, in real life, I was
They
like, I hope
are.
Norman Reedus and
No,
Andy Lincoln are still good friends.
I
Because,
think
like,
they are. Yeah. They
they
were
were quite an
close.
iconic duo off screen as well.
Yes.
And yeah, I just,
No, I'm sure
it
they
would be
are. Yeah,
nice.
yeah. I get the sense Andrew Lincoln's kind of like, yeah, I did enough Walking Dead, whereas Norman Reedus is like, what else can we do? But I think they're still buddies.
I'm definitely going to try and go and see the play that Andrew Lincoln is in.
Sweet.
Which is up in London. I think it starts next month,
What
so
is it?
I'm gonna try and go. It's Harold Pinter, Alicia Vikander is also in it. Let me just
Right.
look it up. I think is it A View from the Bridge? That can't be right. I don't think that's. Hang on, Andrew Lincoln Bridge Theatre. The Lady from the Sea. It's a Henrik Ibsen classic. It's Alicia Vikander and Andrew Lincoln. But the cast is also pretty stacked. They've got Joe Alwyn, John McMillan, who's been in a couple of really good things that I've watched recently. Yeah, it just looks like a really exciting production. So I'm hoping to go and see it.
That's very cool. Yeah, you'll have to
Be
tell us
cool.
how it is. Jealous.
Yeah,
I would do that
hope it'll be
for
good.
sure if it was here. Okay, well, I want to talk about the Claimers. It's just a horrific scene, like a home invasion horror, except camp invasion, I guess.
Yeah.
Joe was counting down to New Year's Eve. Is that New Year's Eve, Timeline Queen?
No,
No.
it's not.
He's full of
It's
shit.
just, he's just so creepy, man.
Mm,
That guy.
okay.
That
Yeah, you
guy.
can't trust him. I love that Daryl interrupts and he's like, "You're stopping me on 8, Daryl."
I was like, to be fair to Joe, that is annoying.
Yeah. Like, can't you just wait till we do the whole thing? Come on.
Like, let him finish his thing, Daryl. God.
Then they start beating Daryl after he offers himself as a sacrifice. This thing that stood out the most to me is definitely the creepy bearded guy giggling to himself as he pushes himself on Carl, getting all up in his face, smelling his hair. And Chandler Riggs did a great acting job, just looking horrified and anguished. So fucked up. Believable, as I said, that it would enrage Rick. I thought this line, the way Joe delivered this one line, was so creepy but well done that I wanted to play it on the podcast. So
yeah. Oh no.
Here it comes.
Listen, it was me. It was just me.
See, now that's right. It's not some damn lie. Look, we can settle this. We're reasonable men.
First, we're gonna beat Daryl to death. Then we'll have the girl. Then the boy. Then I'm gonna shoot you, and then we'll be square.
Oh, that actor is so good.
Then the boy.
Then the boy.
Dude, fuck you,
man.
man.
He's so creepy.
Yeah.
He's iconically, I've mentioned this on the pod before, he's the landlord in New Girl, and he plays a completely crazy, like different kind of crazy character, but in my head I'm like, this is what happened to him when the apocalypse came. Like, he left the law and became this.
He did not integrate well. He just became the monster. Then of course Rick just knocks his head back and into his gun, Joe's gun, which fires, and there's a ringing, which reminded me of the pilot in the tank when the gun went off, right? And then
Rick's hearing must be shit.
I know. I hope that was the same ear, so
coming.
at least he has one good ear.
Yeah.
Then it focused on Rick's face as things are going on, and it reminded me, I don't know if you ever saw this, but did you ever see the Incredible Hulk series that played here
Not
in the
series,
70s?
No.
Bill Bixby, he used to, when he would get mad, it would show his face and his eyes would turn green, and it just felt like that. Then he'd turn into Lou Ferrigno. And then it's really not looking good for any of our people. The Claimers have the upper hand. The guy's holding Carl down, giggling creepily. I won't even play that. It's too creepy.
Awful.
Then Rick gets up and Joe gets Rick in a wrestling hold. What the hell are you going to do now, sport? Chomp. And Rick, I think I said this when I podcasted it the first time, but it's like he became a zombie for a minute there. He became the monster, you know? He
holds the meat in his mouth.
Yeah.
And then spits it out.
And you know what, though? I mean, that is an extreme thing, and it's dark, but it's still Rick doing what's called for in the moment. You know, it's brutal, but totally necessary. Like, there's nothing else I can think of that he could have done. Maybe knee him in the nuts. I don't know.
Just ask him to stop politely.
Yeah, can you please?
Joe, can we not?
Over?
Sorry, man. Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
How about
stop
some diplomacy?
Everyone.
No.
Yeah.
But then the other guys are shocked and distracted. Michonne grabs the gun and kills one and two, I think, and then Daryl's head stomps one. But then when I love this part. This pedo guy is threatening Carl with a knife to his throat, and Rick just walks towards him, Terminator mode.
Oh my God, the guy's face. He plays that moment so well. He's like, no, fuck.
And he didn't even, he just dropped the knife like, oh, no, please. And then is where it gets dark, because he guts this guy from stomach to stern, Shauna Shipman style, and then continues stabbing over and over right in front of Carl. That was concerning, right? Not that he doesn't deserve it, but just what it says about where Rick's head must be at.
Oh my God, Rick and Shauna. That would be a couple.
Right.
Jesus.
That'd be fun. And then the scene with Daryl and Rick, one of my favorites. Daryl just, Norman Reedus did so good in the scene, just looking guilty and shamed. And he says, I knew they were bad, but they had a code, which I talked about in the last podcast. And then he says, I didn't know what they were. And later, I didn't know what they could do. Just saying that twice really showed Rick. He's really ruminating on this, like he sees it, right? And last episode, I was talking about how Daryl's still figuring out if he's like a noble hero or worth a person and deserves love and friendship and a place to belong and all that, or if he's just like this rough, broken outsider. And I think this moment is a turning point in his life. I think when Rick says, "It's not on you, Daryl. It's not on you. You being back with us here now, that's everything. You're my brother." I think in that moment, Daryl takes it to heart that he is deserving and noble. And I'm pretty sure from here on out, he doesn't question that, at least not in the same way.
There's two things that you've made me think of. One is the line from last week's ep where Joe says, "Ain't nothing sadder than an outdoor cat thinks it's an indoor cat."
Yeah.
And how that is a really cutting thing to say to Daryl, because that's how he views. And in a weird way, Joe's kind of not wrong. That's something we come back to with Daryl at Alexandria is, how do you fit into these spaces that were not designed?
Still like on the fringes, yeah.
Yeah, for you. Like if this was pre-apocalypse, Daryl Dixon wouldn't be walking into Alexandria and having dinner with Deanna. Like that's not a thing.
Tea party, yeah.
But I guess the other thing is, and it's hinted at in season 5, is the idea that Daryl himself might be a victim of child abuse, and in many ways. And there is this line for Daryl where I think, they were bad guys, but if he thought they were the kind of guys who did that kind of stuff, he would not have been with them for a moment.
No.
And I think that hits a real raw nerve with him, this idea of like protecting children, as it should.
Yeah.
Because that's what we should do. But, I think it is a particular thing for his character as well.
I mean, last week I was sort of, talking about how with the Claimers, he was probably thinking something along the lines of, okay, I was a hero at the prison, but maybe that's just because of who I was with. And when I'm on my own, am I back to Merle's little brother?
These are Merle. These guys are Merle.
Yeah, these guys are Merle.
And Merle is a lot of things, but I don't think he would go as far as the Claimers do.
But he's a thief and, he's not friendly
not a good guy
to people. Yeah. He's an antagonist to most people. And but he's complicated, yeah, for sure. But anyway, I think now Daryl knows. Even it's ironic because it's Rick saying that helps him see himself this way. But I think after this moment, he doesn't need Rick or anybody else. Like in the Daryl show, he knows who he is. He's a hero, right? But he wouldn't go with any Claimer type people anymore after this.
No. He would go with the French artisans to the bougie bourgeois artist cafe.
And it cements his bond with Rick too. Like it's this moment that's at the core of why Daryl would walk around for 6 years in the woods around the same river looking for Rick.
When he would walk the same stretch of river repeatedly.
And why when he describes Rick to Leah, he says that it's my brother, Yeah. So, yeah.
I know.
Big deal.
This is why everyone's like, oh, they're never going to end the Daryl show with a big reunion. I'm like, but we need this.
I know. Yeah.
It's the final itch to scratch.
But was it you or just somebody said just have them hug and that's good enough. Yeah, we don't need a story.
Even if it's the shittest green screen ever. I'm like, I don't know. They're by Big Ben or so they're on Zoom. Like, I'll take it. I'm like, I will take it. That'll be fine.
Yeah, just show their Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, like, Rick, what are you doing? I'm in France or Spain.
Yeah, use the reaction emoji heart flood thing. Great.
All right, what else?
Well, they follow the tracks, man.
Mm-hmm.
They end up at Terminus.
Yeah.
Question for you. Do you think Terminus let them in, or do you think they genuinely sneak in?
I think they snuck in, but maybe Terminus let them in. I mean, Rick says...
Because Gareth knows about the weapons in the next episode.
Rick says... I wanted to see you before you saw us. And I'm like, well, and you should have looked around and maybe found the butchery or the holding cells first. Yeah. Don't go straight into the place where they're going to discover you.
You'd have looked a bit better, Rick.
Because it did you no good. So it almost doesn't matter, right? They got the same treatment they would have gotten either way.
I did two things that are flippant before I talk about how much I like this. One is there was a brief moment where they walked into that room with all the people doing the radio and stuff, and I was like, God, that looks nice. What a shame it's all going to go to shit in 12 hours. Like, there was a bit of me that was like, okay,
they're
monsters. they eat people,
It's
but like
like,
they've got something, you know?
I mean, it's like a bunch of the way they frame this was so cool with Gareth and all of them seeming so innocuous and friendly,
Mhm.
and it's like a hipster startup, you know.
It really
It is
is.
a startup.
Like the
It's
aesthetic is the
Cannibals
same.
Are
Gareth
Us.
is so that guy. He's like, grab a
Yeah.
beanbag. We have a free coffee
Yes.
machine. Like,
Yes, exactly. And it
and you
really
don't
is
have to
that.
work
It's
on your
just,
birthday.
yeah. I mean, it's the morals of Terminus and Zuckerberg, not too far apart.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you know, if they phrased it in the right way, they'd be like, it's a keto friendly, locally grown
Yeah,
source of protein
organic.
that we think you'll love. Like, it's so good. But yeah, I just had this moment of like, God, that looks really nice and organized. And then I was
I
like, ah,
know.
no, they're cannibals. It's all going to go to shit. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's funny with the claimers and Terminus. I'm sort of thinking of that line in Lord of the Rings where they see Aragorn and they're walking with him, and one of the hobbits says to another, like, do you think he's a good guy, or like maybe he's the enemy? And they say something like, I think a real enemy would look fairer and feel fouler. And
Yes.
I think that's quite interesting because the
Love
claimers are
that.
so obviously like bad guys, and then
Ruffians,
in
yeah.
Terminus they look fair. They look
That's what's
like,
so great about it. Just
I'd
playing
buy a
against
coffee there.
type. Yeah.
The only other thing that like drives me crazy about this is that they are handed plates of food that they have no reason to believe are human flesh, and nobody eats anything. I'm like,
Yeah,
I would
scarf it
eat
up. It
if
did make
someone
me
gave me
like,
barbecue,
it's
I'd be
kind
like,
of
yeah, okay.
why do they give their victims last week's guests or whatever? It's weird. It's almost sadistic, and it made me wonder if Glenn and all them ate some.
They never cover it, and I'm like, I bet they did. Like, I bet they fucking did. I'd love to know what happened when Abraham and that came and arrived, because it'd just be interesting to see how that plays out. Because someone must have eaten a little bit of human. Like, it must have happened. Like, even if it's just like Bob being like, whoops. Yeah, I just don't believe that nobody would like not just shove that in their face. Like, I just don't think we're at that stage of, I mean, after this, you would never eat barbecue again. But like up to this
Yeah,
point,
when
I'm
you
like, I
don't
would eat that.
know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Carl
would
would
just
just
do
be
it.
nom, nom, nom.
Yeah, I know. Like Carl, who nearly ate dog food in season 3, would be like, "Yum!" Like,
Rick's
oh
like,
god,
hang on a minute there.
wait a minute. It could be human flesh.
Something's not quite right.
Introduction of Gareth, though, is what I kind of want to talk about.
Mhm.
Just so good. I wish we'd had him longer. Something I was tracking this time round is his non-verbal communication with the termites. So there's a point where he and Rick are in a standoff, and he's got his hand up as though it's like, whoa, whoa, in peace, in peace.
Mm-hmm.
But then he closes his hand and they open fire. So when they met the first time, when they walk in and they say, you here to rob us? And Gareth's like, oh, I assume so and so is on perimeter watch. I was watching his hand gestures because he sort of raises it like he's waving. And I'm like, is he actually signaling to the people around him what they do or don't do? It was just
Yeah.
a fascinating physical performance.
Because he's so orderly about everything. Next time, I mean, the way he's ordering them when he's herding them into the train car, I just love that. And then
Yeah.
he's got his clipboard next time. So yeah, I love that. Just even his, he's got it all down. Like even his hand motions probably mean things.
Yeah. Yeah, and the way he's communicating with them, like shoot,
Mhm.
don't shoot, stay, do
Mhm.
whatever. But it's masked with this like, I'm just a straight up guy thing. So you don't
Yeah.
expect it to be those kind of signals, but it is.
And watching it now, like they all look innocuous, especially Alex got this big
Alex
smile on
is
his
sweet. I was like,
face all the
"Aw."
time. Maybe he doesn't know they're cannibals. He just thinks he's eating chicken. But
Yeah, it's like,
there,
what?
there is, especially in hindsight, a little edge to Gareth and a little bit of a deadness to his expression.
Yeah,
You know, like
absolutely.
dead-eyed.
He's not fully thinking about that. He's great. I wonder, did that actor go on to be in Once Upon a Time or something like that? I
Yeah.
feel like he's just a great.
I watched him in a show called Greek. It was about
The fraternity one.
Yeah, he was kind of a sleazebag on there. But when I interviewed him. I'll put the link in the show notes. It was after the next episode, but he was awesome. And then I met him a few times at Walker Stalker, did panels, and he's one of the actors who, outside of panels, I just felt like I was talking to a friend, you know, just super cool. Then he tried to eat me, so that was weird. But other than
That was less
he's
cool.
real nice. No,
Yeah,
he was actually
other than
really,
that, he was
really cool.
great.
Like Josh, what's his guy's name? Hornsby.
No,
Josh
Hamilton.
Josh Hamilton, cool. Not quite to that level, who could be,
Yeah.
but very close. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I just looked him up on Wiki. He actually got a Saturn Award for Best Guest Starring Role on Television for The Walking Dead.
That's cool. And this episode, by the way, I was supposed to. So we got featured in iTunes, which was back then iTunes podcasts.
Oh, wow.
And with a picture of him because it was our interview and I had made a connection. And that just jacked our downloads way up because we were on the front page for like a week or something. It was supposed to be Andrew Lincoln on that episode. And I was out at the mall and I get a call from Andrew Lincoln's assistant. Oh, are you ready to talk to Andrew now? And I was like, what? And it turned out we got our wires crossed. She was totally wrong, by the way, but she didn't want to admit that because then she would be in trouble. So it was, she said it was my fault. But anyway, so we had Andrew West on instead, but he was awesome.
Other Andrews are available.
Yeah.
It made me happy to be back with the worst of all people, and the signs. This is what interests me about, like, if we would ever see Abraham and everyone arrive, is what signs did they see? How did they end up in the train car? Because Rick is clocking, because he's in this heightened state of awareness and fight or flight after the claimers. He sees all these things that, to be fair, are not that hidden. Like, you could see them if you just had eyes. But the orange backpack, the pawn show, the riot gear, Glenn's watch, like, these are all things that he's clocking and realizing that things are not what they seem.
And I guess the termites, I don't know, was it stupid of them to have those out in the open? Maybe they didn't know that these people in the train car had friends that were coming. I don't know.
Yeah. I liked as well when they were taking the weapons and they were talking about Daryl's injuries and they're like, hate to see the other guy, and someone says he deserved it and Carl's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, he did deserve it. But yeah, the termites saying they have nothing to hide, and in a way they don't, because they don't hide it that long, but it's just
a
creepy
lie.
as fuck.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
It is a lie. And when Alex talks about people arriving at Terminus, like, oh, I think it was instinct. I'm like, nah, it was a trap. Like, yeah, it was instinct at first that people would come to this intersection, but now it's the funnel.
He says it was a path. So it was already like a natural funnel, but now they're adding to it with these signs and these radio calls and everything.
Do you think they integrate anyone at Terminus, or do you think everyone's good?
They integrate everyone, yeah.
We become stronger at our startup,
right.
Terminus. Like,
yeah, that's what he said. That the more people become a part of us, we get stronger. Cannibal humor. But no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this trauma that they all experienced together bonded them together, and everyone else in the world is an outsider. That's my sense of it, if I had to guess.
That would make sense. I really hope that Rick and the gang empty the other shipping containers before they leave, because they go past two. They're like, oh my god, there's people, and I'm like, oh, there's people
here. Help me!
But also then when Rick gets to the train car, I'm like, was the door just open the whole time, or did they unlock it recently? Because I was like, he just opens the door.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe